Hey guys, it's Newman from the Priority Phase YouTube channel here, and who am I here with?
My name is Daniel Chu. I got first place at the Pittsburgh OTS back in September, and I got it with a Nimble Melfi Spright.
Awesome, let's get into the profile.
Alrighty, we can start with the main deck. Obviously, you play 3 Spright Blue. I do have ultis, but they were double sleeved in my binder, so I was too lazy to unsleeve them. So we went with the secrets.
Nothing wrong with it.
It's 3 Spright Jet, 1 red, 1 carrot. I know some people were like upping the carrots number and everything. I thought about it, but I was like, I kind of want to play closer to 40. I ended up playing with a 42 card main deck, so the second carrot just didn't make the cut. So 1 of each, and I didn't really miss it too much. There was one time where I had to like use it for overlay units and didn't actually get to do anything with it, but not punished. Basic nimble package. 3 nimble angler is way too bricky. The problem with this is that I go through almost my entire nimble engine turn 1, so the recursion doesn't really come up too often, but again, wasn't punished for it, so I don't think there's any other way to like really improve this ratio. I don't think a 3rd angler would solve anything.
Yeah, no pesky Shizu shufflers anymore.
Yeah, true.
Helps a lot.
And then rounding it out is just the 2 other Melfis. You don't really play any other Melfis, and these 2 are good enough. Synchro for a Herald of the Arclight on your opponent's turn is pretty decent for extra interruption. And then this was like the main MVP of the deck, as much as it was dirty to do. A lot of the deck revolved around making Gigantic Spright as like your 3rd summon, and then summoning this so that 1, you're kind of like nib proofed, and then 2, you're playing around like evenly Lightning Storm, Imperm, and basically walking them out of their play. Like they have to answer this. There weren't too many people playing Lingery, but there were a few, and it was like, you know, you kind of have to just expect it. But for the most part, this was like the main way to play Spright in this variant, and then still be able to like keep the opposing decks at your power level.
Yeah.
Because like without Elf, without the 3rd starter, Spright is like pretty nerfed, it feels like, in this current meta, so you kind of have to bring other decks to your level as opposed to trying to reach them. You don't want to play more combo because you're just going to play into every other combo deck, and your combo board is not going to be as strong as their end board. For hand traps, I played a pretty heavy hand trap line. I played 3 Ash, 3 Droll, and then 2 Nib. I didn't miss the 3rd nib too much. It came up when it did, and then oftentimes this was sided out for other stuff. And then we played 2 Fenrir. To be honest, Fenrir was the least impactful card in the deck. I guess I could have cut it and played 40. Whenever I summoned it, it really was just there, and sometimes it played me into Nibiru, or other times it just got like eclipsed or evenly meshed, and it was just an extra body to fill. But it's nice to just kind of have like that extra pressure when it comes to it. And I played it because if I'm ever top decking, like Spright top decking is pretty rough, so I'd rather top deck this than like a blue with nothing on board.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all the monsters. In terms of spells, you play 2 starter. Wish we could play the 3rd, but we'll have to settle for the Spright Smashers, which doesn't do anything to similar. But this is helpful to get over like main problems. I didn't play Pixies mostly because I just did not think to do so. And same with Gamma Burst. Gamma Burst, I felt like I didn't want to ever top deck that. That was like a main portion of this, because you're using so much of your hand in your basic first combo. You're top decking a lot for the rest of the game. And Gamma Burst, if your board's been broken, doesn't do anything. Obviously Smashers isn't like super great either, but this is a better like search off of to like set for your opponent's turn. So Gamma Burst and Pixies like don't further your game state when you're trying to interact, and that's what I was trying to do the most, like on the opponent's turn, as opposed to just killing them on the second. If I was playing Go Second Spright, definitely Pixies and Gamma Burst, but this going first like control variant, Gamma Burst isn't really doing anything for you. 3 Prosperities, so you can see your Spright starter. 2 triple tactics talents. This is my favorite card. I'll find a way to play it no matter what. Even if it's not super optimal, but this is actually very useful just for taking care of big monsters. And then obviously you're going to get interrupted somehow. There's a lot of ways to get like drolled or ashed or impermed. Well, it's not going to matter if it's imperm, but any other interruptions, like just taking a card out of your opponent's hand is also really useful. I didn't actually use it to draw 2 like almost the entire day, just because I'd rather rip or take in any situation it came up. Other tech cards I played was the Foolish Burial. My logic for this was that if I don't have access to, if my Sprint gets impermed or ashed, and I have this gets me to Angler and I still get my 2 bodies. If I somehow don't open a way to get to Sprint, this also still gets me 2 bodies on field by sending Angler. I did consider, because I was expecting a lot of Flunderies at this tournament, I was also expecting to maybe have to play the Banshees, but the Zombie Banshee into Zombie World. And this was going to be another way to do it, but I ended up cutting that. I didn't end up playing the Zombie World. I was like, you know what, whatever. 2 Book of Eclipse. I'm a big fan of 2 ofs. I like seeing a variety in my hand, so we just stuck with them, and I didn't feel like a third one would be that necessary. This OTS tournament was with the old list before the ban list on Arise Heart, so this was also to answer like Kashtira, and then was also just good against Proly as well. 1 Call by the Grave, because you want your gigantic Spright to resolve, and an Ash Blossom is really obnoxious. 3 Imperm, and then the 1 Double Cross. This is my favorite Spright card. I love stealing stuff from my opponent. And then the other thing with the Ibly Walk is that your main board that I was trying to get the most was giving them Ibly, and then having a way to access this so that whatever they normal summon, I just take. And then that way they can't get rid of the Ibly by linking it off to a Link 2. So they have to use the Wingaribo, and if they aren't playing it or they don't have a way to out it, then basically they're stunned for a turn and I can win after that.
Yeah, that card's insane in that end board usually.
Yeah, so that's the main deck. We can move on to the extra deck. Gigantic Spright at 2. I would have played 3, but I don't own the 3rd. So this is the solid 2, 1 Sprint. This could be at 2, but I would probably, like, once you use it once, you're not going to be making a second one, like, ever. And I simply didn't respect the Rise hard enough to be like, they're going to hit this one if they unicorn me. 1 Melfi of the Forest to get the Melfis, 1 Herald of Arclight to be made from the Melfis. I didn't play the Melfi Synchro that bounces, just because it didn't feel like it would be as impactful as a Negate and a mini Macrocosmo.
Yeah.
1 Downer Magician. I did respect Kashtira enough to play 2 Zeus, and also, you never know when you have to come up against it. They're mismatching rarities because I don't own 2 in a matching one.
What about True King Lithosagem? Didn't respect him?
No, I didn't respect him either. If he hit me for that, then, I was probably losing anyways. 1 Soul Sweeper. This came up a little bit, not a whole lot. It was good to just kind of simplify the game state, and I kept one of my matchups was against Plunder Patrol Runic, and I just kept banishing one of their Plunder Patrol cards, so they just have to keep normal summoning something, and they weren't able to make a board off of that. This is nice for the OTK if they end with something, I think, with around 2,000 attack, or 18,000 I think is like the minimum that you can get away with.
Yeah.
You can put a token on them and you can just attack over this with a full Spright board and kill them in 1 battle phase. And at worst comes to worst, it becomes Zeus. 1 Mannequin Cat. I love summoning stuff off of Mannequin Cat. There's a lot of times where you get interrupted on your turn and Gigantic Spright isn't enough, so you make Mannequin Cat so you can either get a blue to recur on their turn, or you do a walkout with some of the cards I have in the side deck. 1 the Dark Charmer. He was a great prosperity target. Never made him. Every time he possibly could come up, they didn't have a Dark Engrave for some reason.
Lovely.
1 IP, mostly to just go into her. I made her a lot, but never when I really needed to, just to have the extra body. But you know, it's a big body. I don't think I'd play Access Code, just because like she almost does the same thing and she'll come up more often.
Yeah.
And then one Nightmare Phoenix who was there for any floodgates, but was mostly there so that I could search another card off of Prosperities. The basic Prosperity Banish, just because it comes up a few times, is usually 1, 2, 3. I was actually prospering for 3 quite a lot, just because most of the time if you need to, it's usually extra because the deck is so consistent. Or if you don't have any Spright names in hand, you usually only have to do 3 to see one.
Yeah.
But if the 6th one ever came up, it was probably this, and like either like Underworld or like something else. Like if I'm prospering for 6, I'm usually not getting into like the big guys after that.
Yeah.
And if I'm banishing this, then it's probably IP. So like something like this would probably be like my 6 banish. All right, so that is the extra deck. And then for side deck, Red Resonator, just because sometimes you have to go into time. This never came up. I hardly ever went into time in the first place. My game 3s were usually starting with like 20 minutes left, so that was hardly coming up.
Yeah.
These were my 2 mannequin targets. This was for Pearly, to stop special summoning. I somehow, throughout this entire OTS of like 26, 28 people, I somehow dodged Pearly the entire day, so that was just really just luck at the most part. So this never got sided in. I did consider it one time against like Tier because like I saw Diviner come up and I was like, it's not really gonna matter that much. So this was just kind of backup. This one I sided in almost every time because there's either a Fiend or a Dark that I had to see, and I never either got to make Mannequin Cat or Mannequin Cat died before I can make him. So he got sided in a lot, and all he did was just clog my deck.
Yeah, he's insane versus Tier and versus the Unchained strategy, huh?
Yeah, I also dodged Unchained. I played against a lot of Tier, and so my main matchups were Tier twice in Swiss, played against Labyrinth, and then I had to buy for one of the rounds, so that was also really helpful. That was a hard-fought battle. And then I don't remember what my other matchup was. Oh, it was Chimera. This was going to come up against Chimera as well. The other ones I had Double Lightning Storm and Duster. I'm a big fan of maining Duster, but this time I didn't make the cut to be mained. 3D barrier for the Chimeras for any Wayward Sword Soul. Kashtira, Branded, the Mirror Match if I ran into it. 3D shifter because we expected to see Dragon Link and tearlaments. This came up to be really helpful. I barely bricked on it all, which is rare, but you know, when it hurts, it hurts. 1 Pankratops to fill out it, and then 2 Herald of the Abyss for the Pearly matchup that I was worried about, and then any other like towers if I saw like a random Cyberse deck or something. This got sided in a lot, this got sided in a lot, and then usually like this was like my blind second. Sometimes playing this if I felt like I just had to deal with a problem. The problem with Spright, especially when I was playing it without Pixies and Gamma Burst, is that like big monsters are just large sometimes. So a Herald of Abyss at a cost of 1500 is sometimes enough to let you just start the rest of your plays. And all that.
If there was anything else that you would play in this deck or change, what would it be?
I would definitely play the 3rd Gigantic. The funny thing was that I was originally going to go into this with Rescue Ace, but at midnight right before the day of the tournament, I was like, I haven't experimented enough with Rescue Ace to play in like the meta and everything, so I'd rather play something that I'm used to. And this actually got me in my OTS top last year for 2023. And so I was like, I might as well just play Spright again because I played this since it released, and I like the deck a lot, even though, you know, it's much weaker now. So I was like, I'd rather play something I'm familiar with and just play a lot of power utility cards and hope it does enough for me then. And it was. I'd probably play the Pixies and Gamma Burst. I think I'd find some space for it. Maybe the Kashtira Fenrirs would become it. I like 42 as Spright. 40 in the main deck, you know, you want the consistency. But if you see too many Spright names, it can be pretty difficult. Just because at a certain point you're kind of like your board is not strong enough to do anything, even if you just open all sprites. But yeah, aside from that, I was pretty happy with everything else.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Any shoutouts?
Yeah, I'll shout out my friend Mike and my other friend Mike. Both of them are people that I play with often. I actually faced one of the Mikes in finals. He was playing branded Chimera. And the only reason I was able to win was with Ibli. But, you know, that's what this deck kind of has to revolve around at this point. It was the way I play is a lot more of a control variant than anything else. I don't really like the runic cards that much because I like that battle phase. I don't like stalling out and also being like susceptible to like spell trap removal. So I wasn't really considering the runic variant, but I know that has had some pretty good success.
Yeah.
Shout out to the priority phase group chat. I don't practice with them that much, mostly because I don't like playing digitally that often.
Yeah.
But I usually listen to their insights, and that was pretty helpful to like understanding like what I might be going up against and like where to stop things.
Awesome. Thank you for the deck profile, man.
Thank you. All right.